Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast Conversations and Connections. I'm your host, Sandy McGregor, and it is a delight to be here to share all these amazing faith stories with some new friends and from old friends as well. And today we have an amazing, amazing writer with us. Her name is Helena Smrcek, and she is going to be sharing her story. It's a fascinating and beautiful story, and I'm going to introduce you today and just share a little bit about you with our audience. And then you can fill in some gaps if you'd like. And then we're going to get right into our conversation. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sandy, for having me. It's such a pleasure and privilege. And thank you. Let's get talking.
Let's do it. All right. So, Helena, you are an award-winning Christian author, speaker, screenwriter, branding and marketing coach, and you have spanned over 3 decades of this publishing journey. And you are a founding member of Write Canada and the Word Guild. You've graduated from multiple writing programs and an active instructor at writers groups and conferences across North America. You are a busy lady. You have amazing stories. They're thrilling, they're heartwarming, deeply faith-filled, and they trace back to some twilight story times at your grandparents' home, which we should get into a little bit later too, where books first opened the world to her. The early wonder never left. And so today you give readers this amazing connection and hope through your stories. And we're going to be talking about your new book coming out, which is A Canine Promise. And I can't wait for you to share more about that because it's been a delightful book to read. And you have just a passion for storytelling and you are very gifted. And I am so excited to have you share a little bit more about you. So let's talk about you.
Oh, wow, Sandy. Thank you. I'll try to live up to all that.
Well, you've had 30 years to create it. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's very special. No, it's an honor to have you here because you have this amazing journey and you have this opportunity to inspire other writers, not just in Canada, but globally. And I really believe that Christians are called into every marketplace. And so God has opened doors for you in such beautiful, beautiful ways. So maybe what we can do is even just go right back to the beginning, kind of in your early years, because this is really where everything started and where God just got things really, really moving. And it's so beautiful. So maybe let's just go back and talk a little bit about your early faith story, like your early years that helped encourage your faith journey.
All right. So I was born in Czech Republic, and you can tell by my accent that English is not my first language, although it's my primary, and I write in English. Mm-hmm. And I think God has put me in this sort of a bubble. Back then, Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia was under communist regime, and it was not an easy life, but I was so small and I didn't know all about those issues. And I spent the first 5 or 6 years of my life with my grandparents, and they basically became my surrogate parents. And one of the most wonderful things I remember about that time is, well, maybe 2. It's being in their garden. And I just spoke about this with a small group yesterday. I remember as a child walking through this garden and just talking to this friend. And it really wasn't like an imaginary dog or a friend as children have. I totally believe I was talking to God. It was just such a time of, I guess, just whimsical childhood. I was able to dress up. I cut up my grandmother's curtains to make myself a veil, which I never got punished for.
Oh, no.
They were amazing, amazing grandparents. They just let me do. They let me do whatever I wanted, and I lived like this little princess in this fairy world. And I think they created this environment for me, and I think that is how my creativity was protected. And I couldn't understand for the longest time why I wasn't with my parents, and they would come and pick me up for the weekends because they both worked. But as I got older, I understood that I think God set that up. He just put me in this whimsical fairy tale world filled with stories. And my grandparents loved the dark hour. They call it the twilight. And so I guess it was to save electricity, but we never talked about that. You know, as it started to get darker outside, we would sit in the living room and just let the darkness fall. And it was such an incredible time where stories would just come out. Yeah. And I remember a lot of these stories, and some were my family history that was not to be shared outside the home because of the regime at that time. And some of it was stories from books like Heidi. I recognized that later when I actually realized it's a book.
Right.
And some of them are Bible stories, which I didn't know at that time, but they just kind of weave that in. And so it was such a creative, wonderful time of storytelling. And I think that is where my love for a story rooted itself in my heart.
Oh, for sure. I can see that it was rooted in you. And I think it's so beautiful how God almost like protected your heart in such a way that you could flourish as a child. And I think that's what's so heart-wrenching in the world, is that so many kids lose that ability to think creatively and to feel that peace, to be able to think like that. So that's really a unique way that God, captured your heart and restored you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. When did you feel something, there's like, you had a very unique part of your journey where you received a gift, and I can't remember what age, and we did talk about this because the first time I did meet you, we touched on it a little bit with the Fab Four in the podcast last year. I think it was last year. And then we had the opportunity at the See Hear Love women's event, and we were seated beside one another at the lunch, and it was so beautiful. So we were able to actually meet in person and connect. So that was so lovely. But there's such a beautiful part of your story here that just ignited something in you and really changed the course of your life.
Yeah, this is going to take us to 1986. And at that time, my parents defected the country. We escaped as a family, and we ended up in Austria in a refugee camp at first, and then in a refugee house just outside of Vienna. And to be perfectly honest, I think that was one of the darkest times in my life because both of my parents fell into deep depression. I think back then, escaping to the West was idolized. And then when the reality hit that you left everything behind, and there was no way for us to return at that time. We could not imagine the fall of communism, just a few years later.
Right.
And so you stripped off your family members' culture, friends, possessions, and you just become a homeless person. Although you are housed, you might not be on a street, but you lose your identity.
Yeah.
And so by the time this happened at the end of the summer in August, and then by the time November came about, I was also in deep depression. I was questioning what was this whole plan, which that wasn't really a plan, I realized. And why are we in this country and we don't know where we're going to go? We needed to apply for asylum and then for refugee status. And it was just so much paperwork and so much uncertainty. And so, when you're 17, your friends are your world, and you might not want to be sharing 2 rooms with your parents. And it was, it was really tough. It was tough on everyone. I mean, looking back, maybe we could have handled it better, but 2020, right? Hindsight.
Well, but you did what you had to do. Your family was in survival mode. And
that's right.
It was one day
exactly
at a time.
Right.
Right?
That's a great way to describe it. And so one day I just got this knock at a door of my room, and I open the door and I see this tall, smiling, handsome young guy. And I'm just thinking, who is this person and what does he want here? And he's kind of like trying to talk to me. And obviously he spoke English, and I had a little bit of English, like 2 years high school English. So I kind of made out what he was saying. And then he said he's got a friend and her name is Jillian, and he called her over and she introduced herself. And then they gave me a shoebox. And I was just kind of taken aback. And I'm like, why are they giving me this?
What is this?
Who are they? What's in the shoebox?
Yeah.
Right? And then Jillian was basically taking over the conversation. And she said, well, this is for you. And we're missionaries. And I thought, oh boy, like, is this a cult? Like, what is this?
Yeah,
we were so scared of religion.
We were
so
fair enough.
to believe it.
It was a little bit out of the blue.
That's right. And I was like, okay. And so they were really nice to me, though. And then the shoebox was pretty cool because I think I got my first ever hair conditioner.
Wow.
and I put it in my hair, and my hair turned silky. And,
Wow.
you know, for a girl of
No, that's a big
17,
deal. At
this is a big
17?
deal. And I was like,
Yes.
what is this?
Yeah.
And I remember there was a calendar and the little fridge magnet with the poem of footprints was there. So I
Oh, wow. I
tried
didn't
to
know that.
translate it to understand what this meant and
Mhm.
a few little other things. And I was like, this is so strange. Like,
Yeah.
what is this? And then Jillian asked if she could come back.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay,
You're
well,
like,
I don't have
okay.
any friends. Well, I mean, if she wants to come and visit, sure, no
Yeah.
problem.
With
And
more
then she,
conditioner.
I didn't say that, but
No.
hey, always will come, right?
Yeah.
And so she started to come. And then
Mm.
she would come on regular basis. And then she would say, would you like me to teach you more English? And I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
And then she said, well, like, what if we do a Bible study? See, at that time, I was very hooked on the friendship. I was like, if I say no, maybe she'll stop coming. So I said,
Oh, yeah. You're like,
okay, sure. Like,
yeah.
okay, we'll do this. And so this relationship grew into a lifelong friendship. We're still
Wow.
in touch.
Wow. Really?
Yes, she came to my brother's baptism just 2 years ago. She doesn't live too far away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another story how God reconnected us like years later.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to believe this. This is true. I am at my daughter's parent meeting in her grade 7 and 8 school in Waterloo, Ontario.
Okay.
And I'm leaving the gym. And then somebody calls my name. And I'm thinking it's one of the parents that I befriended.
Yeah.
And I look around and there's Jillian.
Wow.
And
That's
I'm like,
incredible.
what just happened here? And in the meantime, we have moved from Mississauga to several others. We moved like 17 times with my husband. So, I mean,
Wow.
however would you find me?
That's a lot.
That's another story. We're going to leave that one alone today. And so she got married and she lived in England for several years. And then she moved with her husband who got a job in KW area. And it just happened so that our children were in the same grade and they were going on the same school trip and they were in the same meeting just to get the information.
That's incredible.
And then I realized they are actually going to the same church.
That you can't make this stuff up.
No. And
this is just another way God is at work, right? Just
like, this is so incredible. So many years later, right? And then back in 1987, in April, another couple came with the mission for the new mission team. It was Vicky and Scott McCracken. Well, they were not McCracken yet. It was Scott McCracken and Vicky Bilderback. And they started to work with our family starting that spring. And they too completely changed the trajectory of our life through the gospel.
Wow.
And unfortunately, Vicky passed away about a year and a half ago. Was that complication, post-surgery complications.
Oh.
But again, you know, we stayed friends. And I was watching her celebration of life online. And, you know, the faith that that young couple that we met and they were so in love, just walked with them through their whole lives. And they served. And you just so in awe at the privilege of God actually putting those people in our lives to guide us and to show us the way to the kingdom. So I'm forever grateful for that team and all those things they have done, the barbecues and the sleepovers. And they just treated us like friends, which when you're in a refugee situation, the population of the area does not really appreciate you being there and you feel it every day.
Yeah.
So having people to reach out to you and just extend their hand in friendship and be your true, honest friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I can't even describe how wonderful that is.
It really, it's such a testimony to the call of missionaries and the call that we all have to serve and to love and to meet the needs of others and be the hands and feet of Christ. And we had a pastor, there was I think it was called All Nations at our church a few weeks back. So there was a pastor in the States that was one of the keynote speakers. So he spoke about missions on Sunday and it was so refreshing to hear him ignite everybody about the call to mission work, and whether it's through Samaritan's Purse, Operation Christmas Child, or whatever organization it might be, we don't necessarily have to go, but we're all a part of the journey and the process. So the fact that this couple chose to go, and you think back all of the things it took for them to say yes, for them to get there, for them to get to your door. It's remarkable. And it only is God. It is the only way you can describe it. God is the only one who could orchestrate that to bring love and friendship and grace and the gospel and Jesus to you. And look where you are today. It's so beautiful.
You said it so well, Sandy. It's true. It's just by the grace of God. And we often think that, if you're not called on a mission to another country, another continent, maybe you're not a missionary. But when I teach writing classes, I just do this. And I say, this is our window to the world. The technology that we have today, it's absolutely amazing. And,
It is.
Jesus said to his disciples, go and make disciples. And I think that's one of our greatest callings. We can't forget that our purpose of being on earth, once we become the followers of Christ, is to tell others and disciple them so they can also follow Jesus and pass on the message, right? I taught a class once, and it just kind of came to me back then. If you into like genealogy and you do all these family trees, that was such a time a couple of years back. It was a huge thing to do, and I love doing that.
That would be a huge project.
But then you think about that. How did you become Christian? You can completely, maybe we'll do this in eternity, trace back all the way to Jesus, because from one person to the next, to the next, to the next, the message was passed. And through the millennia, that message found you today where you are at. It still gives me chills that we have that direct connection to the message that Jesus was preaching, on the mount, and he was speaking to his disciples, and it's there, the testimony, the letters written by the apostles, the teachings, and how the church stewarded these texts. And it's just incredible that today we have this manuscript, this Bible that we just take for granted, I think, often, especially in North America, because you can own 20 or more.
Yes.
In some countries, you
can't even have one.
That's right. You have to memorize the books so you can share the word. But so I don't want to ever forget that privilege of having this living word of God available to us. I have it here on my desk. Like I have this 1-year Bible. And never mind the apps and everything that we have access to, that we need to treasure it, but we need to use it.
Absolutely.
And we need to use it for the right purpose, and we need to go and make those disciples.
Yeah. And I think you're doing that. You're living it through your writing. And the way that you are weaving in the love of God through your stories and the opportunities that have come your way are amazing. So maybe let's get right into your writing. Let's talk writing, okay? So I would love to know kind of what you talk initially about your spark with creativity that goes all the way back to your grandparents. But what else was it that actually brought you into writing? So you are now in Canada. I can't remember what year you actually did come here with your family, but did it start or was it more when you arrived and started your journey here?
This is such a journey of God. I always wanted to be a journalist.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. That was my big thing.
Okay.
But the problem is that our family history wasn't really suitable to the dogma we were being taught. So I knew that university education was not going to happen for me. Definitely not journalism. And so after we arrived in Canada, and I'll tell you about that, we arrived in February 22nd, 1988. And we were housed in a motel on a Dundas Street in Mississauga.
Really?
We get out the next morning. We arrived, it was dark, to go and see our, immigration officer. And I look down that long road, and there's piles of snow, like 10 feet high on each side because the plows flooded. And there's this rounded bus And all I remember is these telephone poles sticking out of the snow. And it was gray. And it was like 20 below. And it was just,
Oh,
and I thought,
so cold.
again, I had friends in Austria. I had my missionary
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
I am starting to go to school and do things.
You're like, why are we here?
Why are we here? Like, what were my
I don't
parents
blame you. That's
thinking?
not
This
quite
was,
the sight that you were thinking.
it was a shock to me. And I was
Mm.
like, this is not like Vienna
No.
with all the beautiful buildings and all that. So, but we're going to pass that. So yeah, I got through that and I started going to high school. And I tell you, I had gumption. I don't know where I got it from. I'm thinking maybe God.
Yeah.
We had an editor from Mississauga News to come to our creative writing class. And mind you, my English was really not that great. And he gave us a presentation and like the fire just like lit up.
Yeah.
And he gave us an invitation that any one of us is, inclined to write. We can come and see his office and see the newspaper
That's great.
offices. And I'm like, I'm going to do that.
You're like, sign me up. Let's go.
I took a bus and I went to see him and
Wow.
he gave me an assignment.
Wow.
So I used to go to these, was Mayor Hazel McCallion at that time, to the
Right.
meetings. And I used to transcribe by hand, but then of course I couldn't really spell. So by the time I typed it all out, I don't even know what it looked like. I would love to see one of those copies today. It just is ridiculous.
It would be fascinating.
And, he was so good. He edited and he put it in a paper.
Wow.
And that's how it all started. And then it was an article I wasn't too proud of, and he put my byline on it. I was so embarrassed. And then I decided I'm not doing this. This is terrible. But years later, this is totally God. I got married, had children, and through several coincidences, I ended up at Crossroads. And during the program, the whole group that I was with was kind of following the people who were the guests on the program, but I didn't know anything about them.
Right.
And I saw Lorna Duick. And Lorna was just kind of standing off to the side. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to go say hi because I really don't care about these other people.
Yeah.
But I watched Lorna and I was like, I love her.
Yeah.
So I went up to her and I said, I watch your show and I like what you do and how you do this. And she's like, would you like to have lunch with me? And I'm like,
You're like, yeah.
oh, yeah. I can't
course.
believe she even asked.
Who wouldn't want to have lunch with Lorna?
That's right. And this was at the end of the season. And I didn't realize that the production stops for the summer. So 2 months gone by. And I'm like, well, I guess she's busy and I'm really nobody. So it's okay. It was nice. But
Yeah.
I get a call in September from her assistant. And she says, well, Lorna asked me to set up a date. Would you like to have lunch? And I'm like, of course, I'll make time. I'll get babysitting.
Yeah,
Everything is
yeah.
going to be fine. I'll just go to Crossroads, have lunch with Lorna. We're sitting at the table and she says to me, so like, what do you do? She was a master interviewer. And so she
Yes.
has all these questions. And I'm like, well, I'm a mom and this and that. And she's like, well, what do you want to do? Like in your life? And I said, honestly, I wanted to be a journalist, but that's, that dream is gone. And she's like, why would you say that? And I'm like, well, because I don't have the university degree. And right now we cannot even afford to do anything like that. And I just don't know that I could do it.
Yeah.
And she says, well, you could go to your local library and check out a couple books on how to write a newspaper article and just kind of practice and then listen for ideas and see if something comes to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really?
You're like,
So I
okay,
did.
I can do
I
that.
went to the library. I
I
checked
can
out
bring my
couple
kids with
books.
me to the library.
Exactly. And I'm telling you, we're driving with my kids in a van, and this radio show comes on. And it was a story about a man who was mandating for Sunday shopping, and then he wanted to eliminate the Lord's Prayer from the public meetings of the local councils, like city council. And it just irked me. And I was like, I called the radio station. And the announcer gave me the man's number, and I was able to call him up, and he gave me an interview over the phone.
Wow.
I wrote it out, and I sent it to Christian Week in Winnipeg, and they published it.
So would that was your first? Because that was one
was
of my
my
questions was going to be like, what was your
That
first?
was-
So that was your first.
November 1999. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that works. Well, I kind
That's
of
great.
took that, and then I got about 100 bylines in like 2 years because I just sent articles to wherever I thought.
Yeah.
And nobody told me that should be hard.
Mm.
It just became something that Lorna said I should do, so I did it.
So you're like, okay.
Yep. And then the following year, I get this piece of mail, and there was a pamphlet to, it used to be then called God Uses Ink, an invitation to a writers' conference.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, there's a thing like that. Okay.
Interesting.
Guelph, Ontario. So I talked to my husband. He agreed to watch the kids so I could go. It was the first time I ever left the children for like a weekend.
Wow.
And that opened a totally new world to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, yeah, there's people like me.
Yeah, I'm not alone.
Yeah. And there's
Yeah.
like classes I could take, and there's like mentors I could have. And
Yeah.
and from then on, it just, the fire didn't stop burning.
Yeah. Well, apparently not, because you have quite a few novels under your belt now. And the Fab Four, which I will link as well to our previous conversation. But maybe you can talk a little bit actually about the Fab Four, because it does involves this really unique collaborative effort. And congratulations on your latest SELA award. Like,
Thank you.
girls, you are killing it. Amazing. So what's the story again, briefly about the Fab Four?
I think Fab Four goes way beyond collaboration.
Yeah,
We have
for
met
sure.
in Guelph at the grounds where that conference used to be hosted.
Mhm,
And it was, I don't know, 3-4 years ago.
mhm,
Sarah Davison organized a little writers retreat. And
mhm,
so we're just talking. And Melanie Stevenson was there.
mhm,
And we kind of got to talk. And then I don't know if Darlene came to the retreat or if we sort of invited her later. And I said, like, I would like to have a small group of women that we can, pray and brainstorm and do things and just like create these small events we can get together once a
mhm.
month and just do something as
Yeah.
writers.
Perfect.
And that's how that whole thing was born. And
Mhm.
then we were thinking we should give ourselves a name. And then we kind of jokingly said Fab Four, and then
Yeah.
like kind of took on. And
And it just stuck.
we just have this little following now. It's just amazing how these
It
things.
really is amazing. You're very inspiring.
Oh, I don't know. We were joking, but then I guess God can take even your, tongue-in-cheek things and little coincidences and use them for His glory. So we have decided to put out this anthology, and we did one year before, and we did one again past December, and I guess people liked it.
I think they did, and I agree. You're
you.
excellent
Thank you.
writers,
What an
and the
honor
stories
that
are
was.
fabulous, and the characters are amazing. And I love how you each had such a unique angle in your different stories, but how I felt like each one of the stories needed to be in that book, and it was beautiful. Really well done.
It is. I don't want to sound super religious or anything like that, but I honestly think when you're a Christian author, you rely on the Holy Spirit so much for all your creative writing. And so that is why that book worked, because we all write differently and different genres and all that, but then it comes together as a synergy. And so it's not a competition. It's not who is better. It's we all do what we are called to do for the glory of God. And it just becomes this beautiful piece.
Yeah.
And those are the stories that people read. And then, you actually get this amazing opportunity while they sit with your book. You talk directly to their head, because that's people read, in their head. And I think this is such an amazing gift of God that we can tell these stories and bring His truth wrapped up in, in a character, in a conflict, in a setting or a plot.
Yes.
And it speaks to hearts.
Oh, it 100% does, because you can see yourself in the character or in the situation that they may be struggling with, and then what the breakthrough is, and you can relate to that. And I know I did for sure. So that was, really, really great stuff. I loved it so much. And I know you've got so much more coming out. You have a new book called A Canine Promise, and I love your character. Yes, there it is. And Noah and Abby and Charlotte and the dogs. So I was going to ask you, so tell us a little bit about what this book is and what people can expect. And I also want to know what brought you to Colorado and the introduction of these beautiful dogs, which become so much a part of you as you're reading the book. So thank you for allowing me to read the book. But I really loved the characters. I loved where they were and how you introduce this amazing conflict. Like right at the beginning, you kind of go, I get her. I know what's going on in her heart. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. Yeah. So
Thanks.
let's talk a little bit about that. Your new book coming.
Well, I'll have to tell you, I had a big shift in thinking during the pandemic, like 2020. There was a lot of things happening all over the world and a lot of things happening in our private life too.
Mm-hmm.
And I started as a romantic suspense author, and I kind of never really thought of writing just a beautiful, sweet romance because I mean, I need some, gritty stuff and tension and crime. But I think the Lord really spoke to me during that time. I wasn't able to write for 2 years. That was such a traumatic time in my life. But the Lord has done a lot of work. And coming out of that, I realized that there is such a value in a sweet, kind, loving, gentle story.
Yes.
Because
We
we
need
have
more.
so much noise that's
Yeah.
coming at us all day long. And it seems like it does not stop.
Yeah.
You drive, the radio comes on, you come home, the TV comes on, your phone is always beeping. And it's just such a brain clutter. And I think that's why there's so much struggle with mental health issues and stress and all these things that follow us everywhere. And I thought, you know what? I'll try. So I did. And I have a sweet mentor, C. Murphy. He's 93 years old. He's still my mentor.
Wow.
Doesn't like these stories, but I wrote it anyway. And so Colorado, I have been part of a Jerry Jenkins Writers Guild. And so I visited Colorado a couple of times. And it's such a beautiful setting. I love the mountains and it's just so fresh.
It's stunning.
You get out of breath and then you think you're totally out of shape until you realize you're like, high elevation.
How high up you
shouldn't be running. But it's, you know what? And it's just incredible place. And I was thinking what would be a good setting. And that just came to my mind. And, a story of a broken heart, I think anyone can relate to that. I mean, you might not be in the same circumstances as Abby, my heroine, but you know what? We all experience disappointment and, things in our life that give us so much struggle and pain and we have to overcome.
Yes.
And so, yes, Abby moves back home and she needs to recreate her life. The dogs, well, I tell you a secret. Well, it's not a secret. I live with 3 Vizslas. It's not like I have dogs. We live with them.
Yeah.
They live here and we are just here to serve them. So they're amazing breed. We love them. They're called Velcro dogs. And these dogs are all hard.
Oh,
and
well, that's what you see in the story.
Thank you. So
really
it came based on what we have been living for. We had Hunter for about, I think he's 10 now. Where does the time go?
Wow.
And Penny's a year younger and Stella is 2 years younger.
Yeah.
So we have a nice little pack around the house all the time.
Definitely have a pack.
We do. And so it's, you know what? Animals are so beautiful and it's such a privilege to be able to have them in your life because,
it is.
They're always happy and they want to see you and they can tell. I don't know if it's all dogs. I guess a lot of dogs can do this. Specifically, Vizslas can tell how you feel. And you don't have to say anything. And they just react to your emotional state. You come home, you don't feel the greatest. Something has happened.
Yeah.
They just come and sit with you.
Yeah.
And it's this quiet, silent grounding.
Yeah.
Right. And
well, it's
often
true.
that brings me back to quiet time with God because I'm like, well, how does this dog know? Right. And then immediately leads to thankfulness and gratefulness for the creation and all these wonderful things. And I think it recenters me, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I know I'm not alone. God gave me these 3 dogs that are high maintenance, but kind and loving. So I think it's all like this little tapestry, all intertwined. And I'm so grateful that I could take some of that experience and put it into a story and I can share it with the readers.
Yes. And I love the fact that you touched on the noise that we have in the world and having something like a book that you feel confident. It's going to be, you know what you're getting into without it being, graphic and too much of this and too much of that. You just know you can sit down, you can share it with somebody else. I could give it to my daughters and I would feel great for them reading it. And then, just even with the dogs, even if you don't have a dog, you feel this unique connection, the way you orchestrated it so beautifully with her, Abby's daughter, and it just demonstrates how dogs and animals can bring people together. And then your whole story is like this, like you talked about the tapestry. They are woven into your story. And I think about our dog, Piper. She's a chocolate lab. And we have this little routine in the morning, and she only does it in the morning with me. She's 55 pounds. And I have this little swivel chair, and that's where I like to do my devotional and have a coffee in the morning. And she jumps up on my lap as if she's a 10-pound dog.
Yes.
And that's what she does almost every single morning. But not like nothing else. Like she doesn't do that. She'll sit beside me, but this is the only time she's like right there with me. And I feel like there's just this funny little thing going on. She just knows it's my time. This is where I'm sitting. This is when I'm at coffee, and I try to journal or I try to read, even though she's so huge on my lap. But I'm like, it's just too cute. So I think you've captured that really beautifully. And with the characters and their connections and the restoration and the redemption and the faith component. So job well done. And I'm so excited for it. So when does it release so everybody knows? And where can they find it?
It's coming out at the end of June. I'm super excited. When you get the release day, it seems months away, and all of a sudden it's here. So it's coming out. I have set up a reader treasure hunt for the month of June. So for anyone who visits my website, they can still sign up, and there's prizes. And I've created this whole journey for the 30 days.
That's awesome.
Kind of get to know Hope Rock and the dogs and the characters. And of course, there's prizes and stuff like that too, and puzzles and things. So I love doing things like that for the readers. And so it's coming out, and I'm excited. We're going to do a virtual launch. And of course, I also have a couple prizes for your listeners.
Yes.
So maybe we can, in the show notes, if you can just put my website on, because spelling my name, it's a bit of a puzzle.
I will do that.
So we'll just do that. And if any one of your readers wants to join, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at my sign-up sheet, and the first 3 people that will mention your podcast will get a signed copy.
Perfect.
Of this novel, and a couple of tweets that you can just add in. So it makes it a little bit more special.
Well, I will make sure I share that on my social media as well, so that people are aware of what they can do to be a part of that, to receive a gift if they can be the winner. That would be amazing.
That would be
wonderful. Exciting. So lastly, before we kind of just finish off here, what encouragement will you give to somebody today who is, kind of in that early stage of, I do like to write, I want to submit things, but just don't really know where to begin. And maybe they really just need to be in touch with you, because you can be somebody in their life that can coach them. So what would you say to that person today?
Well, I could say go to the library, but I'm not going to say that. First of all, trust that feeling in your heart, and know that that is God telling you, this is a path I want you to follow. I struggled with that for a while, but honestly, God is not going to guide you the wrong way. And pray that God will bring the right people into your life. I mean, I can name a list of mentors that just showed up and guided me along my path. And as you said, feel free to reach out. Let me know that where you are at, what do you need? I do coach writers, and I do something a little bit different. I'll sit down first and ask you where you are at and what your goals are. Because it is absolutely overwhelming to look at the whole publishing industry and try to find your home and figure out who am I going to write for. And it is a difficult industry to get in. I'm not going to say this is easy, but there is also, anyone can start writing. And I would say start writing short pieces. Start with maybe a blog post if you like doing that. Even like shorter pieces on Instagram. Do posts, inspiring things, right? You can write short stories and just share them with your followers.
Yeah.
Like there is no limit to what we can do right now, because the access to all these tools and technology. And it's an amazing time to be an author because,
Mhm.
I mean, 20, 30 years ago, none of this was possible. And it is incredible.
Yeah.
So start journaling, start every day, give yourself a little block of time. It could be 10
Yeah,
minutes,
that's
it could
good.
be half an hour, see whatever works with your schedule, and be diligent. Create a routine, a rhythm in your life where you read the genres that you would like to write for, so you can study that, and also spend some time writing. And don't start writing a full-length novel because that's a daunting
That
task.
might be a little much.
Just start with shorter pieces and
That's good.
share them with people. And once you get the encouragement and people read them, it's just gonna, ignite that fire,
Yeah.
become a little bit brighter, and then you're gonna feel, okay, this is what I'm supposed to
Yeah.
be doing.
That's
And
great.
don't let anyone discourage you. Just keep at it.
Yeah. That's important. That's great advice. Thank you for that encouragement. So where can people go if they would like to check you out today?
Well, I would say go on my website, because if you start looking through the pages, you're going to find me one way or the other. There's different things. There's things
Yes.
for authors, there's things for readers. So basically, it's helenasmrcek.com, and that's all you need to know. Simple.
Perfect.
Well, sort of. And it's a good place to start. There is a link that you can follow and email me, or you can subscribe to the newsletter. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for people to find me and connect. So
That's great.
don't be shy, message me.
That's
I'll
good.
get back to you, and we'll see where you're at, and
That's amazing.
we'll take it from there.
That's great. Super encouraging. And it is easy to find you and to connect with you. And I think it's really important that we have people in our lives that are going to encourage us along the way. I mean, it's just a part of what we need. We desperately need community. We need friendships. We need mentors. And sometimes it is a little bit of that out of your comfort zone, a little bit of a leap of faith, and you're like, oh, she may not get back to me, but you know what? I know you will. So if you're out there listening and you are interested in having a dialogue, she would love to do that. So check out her website, and the new book, Canine Promise, is coming out at the end of June, and I guarantee you will love it. So thank you for being the guest today on the podcast. It's been a delight.
Sandy, thank you for having me. I love chatting with you. You're such a wonderful host, and I hope that your audience will enjoy this conversation.
Yes, I hope so. And I'll make sure I post about the giveaway, and I'm sure you can find the book on all platforms, from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, everywhere, and on your site probably too. So,
and in Walmart.
Yes. All right. Well, have a lovely rest of your day, and thank you so much for this conversation, and we'll be in touch soon for sure.